Welcome to the Live Scout Show. I am your host, the Live Scout, coming at you from the Okojo Frontier Studios on the Missouri-Kansas border in small-town rural America. The Live Scout Show is an Okojo LSR radio production. Well, good day, America. Good evening, whenever you happen to be hearing this. I'm glad you are here with the Live Scout. So much going on. Q drops for the last 48 hours. Falling like fiery rocks from a volcano. And boy, did it lower the boom. We were warned. Boom, boom, boom. And the boom finally did come, and it came today with swiftness, and it came today with much surprise. So, those of you that keep up with what's going on in the world, I'm sure you're aware that one of the premier web pages, websites, into the dark media, the dark side, Backpage was shut down today by the Department of Justice. And I'm sure a lot of you are like going, okay, that's great. And then a lot of you are going, Backpage, what's that? Yeah, because there are a lot of people that aren't awake out there. So let's just go over real briefly why the Department of Justice would have wanted to shut down backpage.com. This is a Q boom, boom, boom. Backpage was a classified advertising website launched in 2004. It offered classified listings for a wide variety of products and services, including automotive, job listings, and real estate. In 2011, Backpage was the second largest classified ad list serving on the Internet in the United States after Craigslist. Backpage came under fire starting in 2011 for allegations that their adult services subsections was used for prostitution and human trafficking, particularly involving minors, and that the company took insufficient steps to prevent these practices. After a series of court cases and the arrest of the company's CEO and other officials in early 2017, Backpage removed the adult services subsection from their website in the United States. On April 6, today's date, 2018, Backpage was seized by the United States Department of Justice under the Stop Enabling Sex Traffickers Act. Until January, here we go, we're getting into the meat of it now. Until January 9, 2017, Backpage contained an adult section containing different subcategories of various sex works professions, escorts, erotic masseuses, strippers, phone sex operators, etc. After accusations from the United States Senate of being directly involved with sex trafficking and the sexual exploitation of minors, the company suspended its adult listings, describing the move as the direct result of unconstitutional government censorship. However, many escorts and erotic masseuses admit to moving their ads to the massage and women-seeking men listings. Prostitution is illegal throughout the United States except for some counties in Nevada. Kristen D'Angelo, Executive Director of the Sex Workers Outreach Project, the Corrections Sacramento, criticized the shutdown, questioning how many sex workers across the United States no longer had a way to support themselves. Activists argued that the move would force some of the site's users to work on the street instead. There has been significant public controversy and discourse regarding the adult section of Backpage.com. Most of the criticism has been centered on the charge that Backpage is used to market minors, underage sex trafficking, and that they contribute to a surge of prostitution in areas that they operate. Media, law enforcement, politicians, and parents of trafficked children have weighed in on this matter. According to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, the majority of child sex trafficking cases refer to NCMEC, and involve ads on Backpage. Backpage says that it blocks about 1 million ads per month, mostly suspected of child sex trafficking or prostitution. Of those, they report around 400 ads a month to NCMCEC, which in turn notify law enforcement. Content submitted to Backpage is surveyed by an automated scan for terms related to prostitution. At least one member of a team of over 100 people also oversees each entry before it is posted. Backpage has continued issues with credit card processors who are under pressure from law enforcement to cease working with companies that allegedly allow or encourage illegal prostitution. In 2015, Backpage lost all credit card processing agreements, leaving Bitcoin as the remaining option for paid ads. In an amicus curiae brief, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children says the efforts of Backpage are inadequate and that their reporting lacked in several areas. They say Backpage does not report all ads that have been flagged, or being underage does not report when someone tries to advertise children under 18 years of age, and does not respond to requests of parents to have ads of their trafficked children removed. They also say Backpage encourages dissemination of child sex trafficking content on its website. They say Backpage is much slower in removing ads that advertise children than ads placed by authorities aimed at trapping traffickers, guides traffickers in creating false pages for underage children, instructs traffickers and buyers on how to pay anonymously, and makes it easier to make adults post than others post. They said, to all intents and purposes, Backpage was instituted no effective procedures to prevent child sex trafficking ads from being created on its site. They say that they do not use obvious techniques to identify traffickers, such as being the same phone number, email address, or credit card of a known trafficker, or reusing the same picture of known victim of human trafficking. Advocates for Backpage point out that by carefully scrutinizing each posting in the adult section before it is posted, removing questionable posts, and reporting potential cases of trafficking of minors to the authorities of NGOs such as NCMEC, Backpage is aiding in the fight against this activity. In addition, they argue that providing prompt and detailed information about postings to law enforcement when asked to do so, including phone numbers, credit cards, and IP addresses, Backpage aids law enforcement in protecting minors from such activity. They also contend that the prompt and complete production of this information results in more convictions for illegal activities, and that shutting down the adult section of Backpage will simply drive the traffickers to other places on the internet that will be less forthcoming about crucial information for law enforcement. Numerous writers, non-governmental organizations, legal experts, and law enforcement officers, including the Electronic Frontier Foundation, the Internet Archive, and the Cato Institute, have pointed out that the freedoms and potentially the entire fabric of the Internet would be threatened if this type of free speech is prohibited on Backpage. They cite both First Amendment rights of free speech guaranteed in the Constitution, as well as Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act. This law provides protection to interactive service providers that the conduits for each other's speech and not the speaker themselves. In 2012, at the behest of a number of non-government offices, including Fair Girls and NCMEC, Fitzgibbon Media, a well-known progressive liberal public relations agency, created a multimedia campaign to garner support for the anti-Backpage position. They enlist support from musicians, journalists, politicians, media companies, and retailers. The campaign created a greater public dialogue, both pro and con, regarding Backpage. In 2015, Fitzgibbon Media was closed due to multiple allegations of sexual harassment and abuse by Fitzgibbon owner Terver Fitzgibbon. Some companies, including H&M, IKEA, and Barnes & Noble's, canceled ad for publications owned by Village Voice Media. Over 230,000 people, including 600 religious leaders, 51 attorney generals, 19 U.S. senators, and over 50 non-governmental associations, musician Alicia Keys, and members of REM, The Roots, and Alabama Shakes petitioned the website to remove sexual content. New York Times columnist Nicholas Kristof authored a number of columns criticizing Backpage, to which Backpage publicly responded. Beginning in 2011, a number of legal challenges were initiated by foes of Backpage in attempts to eliminate the adult section of the website and/or shut down the website entirely. These actions included legislative initiatives as well as lawsuits brought by individuals. All of these lawsuits, which were mostly brought by politicians and NGOs, were successfully challenged by Backpage, which argued that the First Amendment protection of freedom of speech were being compromised by any restriction on postings by individuals on the Backpage website. The Fifth and 14th Amendments to the Constitution, as well as the Commerce Clause, were also cited as reasons that these efforts were illegal under U.S. law. Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act of 1996 served as an additional cornerstone in the defense. There were several different lawsuits, and then, it goes all the way, let's see, the lawsuits, MA versus Village Voice Media LLC, September 2010, and lawsuits continued. Backpage.com LLC versus DART in 2015. On October 6, 2016, Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton and California Attorney General Kamala Harris announced that Texas authorities had raided the Dallas headquarters of Backpage.com and arrested CEO Carl Ferrer at the George Bush Intercontinental Airport in Houston on felony charges of pimping a minor, pimping, and a conspiracy to commit pimping. The California arrest warrant alleged that 99% of Backpage revenue was directly attributed to prostitution-related ads, and many of the ads involved victims of sex trafficking, including children under the age of 18. The state of Texas was also considering a money laundering charge pending its investigation. Arrest warrants were also issued against former Backpage owner and founders Michael Lacey and James Larkin. Lacey and Larkin were charged with conspiracy to commit pimping. So on it went. On December 23, 2016, the state of California then filed new charges against Backpage CEO Carl Ferrer and former Backpage owners Mike Lacey and Jim Larkin. They were charged with pimping and money laundering. Lawyers for Backpage responded that the charges rehashed the earlier case that had been dismissed on December 9, 2016. Jim Grant, an attorney for Backpage, said she cannot avoid First Amendment protections, federal law, or her obligations to follow the law, although her new complaint is a transparent effort to do exactly that. Arraignment was set for January 11, 2017. So anyway, on January 9, 2017, the United States Supreme Court refused to reconsider a ruling by the U.S. First Circuit Court of Appeals that a suit filed in Boston Federal Court in 2014 against Backpage by three women who claimed that Backpage was responsible for them being forced into illegal sex transactions. The Court of Appeals held that Backpage could not be held liable as the publisher or speaker for postings on its site by third parties in accordance with the protections provided to website operators under Section 230 of the CDA. Shortly thereafter, Backpage announced that it was removing its adult section from all its sites in the United States. Backpage said it was taking this action due to many years of continuing acts by the government to unconstitutionally censor the site's content via harassment and extra legal tactics, and to make it too costly to continue publishing activities. Well, isn't that just too bad, Backpage? I mean, here you are, all wrapped up in the deep web, man. You were the gateway to the deep web for all this sex trafficking and underage prostitution. God, you sick dogs. No wonder Jeff Sessions and the Department of Justice shut you down today once and for all. You kind of rodents, we got to kick the rock and run you rodents out. And that's exactly what the American people did today. And so Q let it go. Boom, boom, boom. And there it went. And what a much of a surprise it was to everybody. And I'm going to tell you what, I will be right back, but right now I got a message from Dwight D.
Ladies and
Eisenhower.
gentlemen, the President of the United States.
Good evening, my fellow Americans. We now stand 10 years past the midpoint of a century that has witnessed 4 major wars among great nations. Until the latest of our world conflicts, the United States had no armaments industry. American makers of plowshares could, with time and as required, make swords as well. But we can no longer risk emergency improvisation of national defense. We have been compelled to create a permanent armaments industry of vast proportions. Added to this, 3.5 million men and women are directly engaged in the defense establishment. Now, this conjunction of an immense military establishment and a large arms industry is new in the American experience. The total influence, economic, political, even spiritual, is felt in every city, every state house, every office of the federal government. We recognize the imperative need for this development, yet we must not fail to comprehend its grave implications. Our toil, resources, and livelihood are all involved. So is the very structure of our society. In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist. We must never let the weight of this combination endanger our liberties or democratic processes. We should take nothing for granted. Only an alert and knowledgeable citizenry can compel the proper meshing of the huge industrial and military machinery of defense with our peaceful methods and goals, so that security and liberty may prosper together.
Remember when the days were long and rolled beneath the deep blue sky? Didn't have a care in the world, with mommy and daddy standing by. But happily ever after fails, and we've been poisoned by these fairy tales. The lawyers dwell on small details, since daddy had to fly. Oh, but I know a place where we can go that's still untouched by men. We'll sit and watch the clouds roll by and the tall grass waves in the wind. You can lay your head back on the ground and let your hair fall all around me. Offer up your best defense, but this is the end. This is the end of the innocence.
You're back with the Last Scout Show. And you know, this is the end of the innocence in many ways. It's the end of the innocence for a lot of people that have not been politically aware of what's been going on the last few years. You know, many of us have been suspicious for decades, and we've been on watch, and we've been trying to ring that bell to get it out there that there is something deeply wrong, deeply troubling with our government. And now the Department of Justice comes and shuts down backpage.com, a portal to the deep web, to the underground, to the prostitution, to all the most evil things that, you know, we can imagine that could be done to young people, that could be done to young men, that could be done to young women. that could be done to children. It's here. And now a lot of people are going to have to face that it is the end of the innocence. And it's time to have our heads out of the sand and into this fight to save this country. Well, I'm going to wrap this up. I wanted to get that out there about the Q boom drop. It is the end of the innocence. A lot of people are going to be upset. And, well, they're going to be upset anyway. It's a lot for any person to gather. Be sure and catch me over at We the People, Patriot Soapbox 24/7 live stream on YouTube. If I'm not on the air, I will be in the chat room moderating, and I hope to see you over there. Also, be watching out for anything else I might put out. And don't forget to catch Quite Frankly. You'll see a link for him on the front of my YouTube channel. And Tracy Beans, another great investigator. All patriots trying to get the word out, trying to help each other. This is The Last Scout for The Last Scout Show, an Okie Joe LSR radio production. From the Missouri-Kansas border, take care and God bless.